Okay, it is 5 p.m. and looking at my Zoom here, it looks like we have a quorum. So I'm going to ask the clerk to please call us to order and call the roll.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Present.
Councilmember Hussein.
Here.
Councilmember Wood.
Here.
Councilmember Spitzley. Councilmember Dunbar. Councilmember Jackson. Councilmember Garza.
Here.
Councilmember Betts.
Here.
6-0, there's a quorum of the committee present.
Very good. Please note that Councilmember Brian Jackson just joined us. All right, moving on. Mr. Vice President, we'll need a motion to approve the minutes from July 13th and July 20th.
All right, I will move the meeting minutes for July 13th and the 20th as presented.
There's a motion before us. Any questions from the council members? Seeing none, if the clerk could please call the roll.
Councilmember Hussein.
Yes.
Councilmember Wood.
Yes, and that is the 22nd, correct? Not the 20th?
Nope, we met on the 20th and the 13th.
Oh,
Okay, because the minutes say
Sorry.
the 22nd, so that's
Oh.
fine.
Well, when did we, hold on. Yeah, we met on the 20th.
it was the
so-
20th.
Yeah, that needs to be changed.
Okay, so would you like a motion to amend?
Yes, please.
I would like to amend the minutes to read the 20th. Thank you.
All right, we'll take it as a friendly amendment, absent any objection, to avoid a second roll call vote in the middle of one. So if that's all good with you, Councilmember Hussein?
Yeah, I guess I'm confused. I don't see where it says July 22nd. Maybe I'm seeing July 20th. But
Yeah, I don't see it either, actually. Councilmember Wood, where are you seeing that?
I'm seeing this on the minutes that I printed off.
Yeah, mine both say the 13th and the 20th.
Okay.
Now, I
All
did
right.
just download them today, so maybe there was an error in one of them before.
All
But
right, thank you.
all right, so Councilmember Wood, Madam Clerk, we are at Councilmember Wood.
Councilmember Wood.
Yes.
Councilmember Spitzley.
Yes.
Councilmember Dunbar. Councilmember Jackson.
Yes.
Councilmember Garza.
Yes.
Councilmember Betts.
Yes.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So we have public comment on agenda items this evening. I will note that public comment could be on any of the appointments that are listed on the agenda and only the ones listed on the agenda, and the social districts resolution, the committee assignments, as well as the readoption of the codified ordinances. So I do see Melissa Jeffries' hands up, but I do know that Melissa's on the agenda as an appointment. So I will unmute you, Melissa, and you tell me if you are here to speak on your appointment or if you want public comment. So Melissa, there you go.
I was just letting you know that I was here.
Excellent. Thank you. We'll come back to you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. Doesn't appear that there is any public comment. So we're going to move on to the first item, which is an ordinance readopting the codified ordinances of the city of Lansing. Does anyone need another description of what this thing is, or can we just move that out to the floor? All right. Councilmember Wood is shaking her head, so I'm going to give her the motion on that one.
Thank you. I would move for passage of the ordinance for the full council.
Very good. Thank you. Is there any further discussion on this? Hearing none, Sherry, please call the roll.
Councilmember Wood.
My dad is Councilmember Woods. Do this every year, so.
Sorry, Jim, go ahead. Never mind. Okay, continue, Sherry.
I was
Councilmember
just adding
Hussein.
a Councilmember Woods.
yes.
Councilmember Spitzley.
Yes.
Councilmember Jackson.
Yes.
Councilmember Garza.
Yes.
Councilmember Betts.
Yes.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Yes.
And I still do not see Councilmember Dunbar. So
No.
motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. All right. Moving on, the next item is a resolution reappointing Melissa C. Jeffries as an at-large Board of Review member with a term to expire 6/30/2023. And I do see Melissa is on the phone, or on the line rather. Miss Melissa, you have permission to talk if you want to unmute yourself. And then we can ask the council any questions. As you all are aware, we typically have done reappointments as pro forma. There was some pushback at the last council meeting on a few appointments. So we're going to start reviewing them all individually. It might be a quick yes, no, or it might be a long process. But for now, the ones in front of us are the ones that we could get folks in today to speak on. So I'm going to open it up to Patricia, Councilmember Spitzley, if you'd like to begin.
Thank you, Mr. President. And it's not as much as a commentary on Ms. Jeffries. I just want to kind of clear the record that we're not doing this because of pushback from the last time our appointments. We're doing this because we were committed to, by the administration, of not just pushing reappointments through, and that we would give them some sort of look before we went through. And so I just want to make sure that that's what I understood was happening. But I think that's why we're having the discussions over Cal. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jeffries, I see in here it says this was your first choice to be on the Board of Review. So appreciate that. I think Councilmember Wood has some questions for you as well. And I apologize, this format is a little strange. It's kind of hard to do these interviews in a virtual setting. I can actually, if you want to turn your camera on, you're more than welcome to, but not under no obligation to do so.
Thank you, President Spatafor. My question for Melissa, since she was just appointed to this and was finishing out a term, I was wondering if she wanted to reflect on how the process has worked for her as part of the Board of Review.
Ms. Jeffries, would you care to address Councilmember Wood's question?
Well, I went out for a minute, so I need for her to repeat that if she may.
Not a problem, Melissa. I was just following up to see, I know that you were appointed to fill in the remaining of a term, and I was wondering how you have seen the Board of Review, how you believe that it's been working, and if you had any comments to that.
It went by pretty good. Seeing some interesting residents, but everything was nice. It was fun. Didn't have any problems.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Hussein.
I guess just real quick, Melissa, was there board training involved? What did that look like? And did it work? Was it enough? Or do you think it would be appropriate to, maybe enhance that training?
Well, the training was fine. She did a lot of talking. Her presentation didn't work. She couldn't get the projector to work. And it was everybody from the state at one location over there off Okemos Road. We're able to interact with her. It was nice. And she let us know about the rules and the regulations and why every county does what they do. And it was informative, and I'm glad that we only had to do it once.
Good answer. All right, is that Mr. Councilmember Hussein?
No, outside of that, I just wanted to make sure, because when you look at property valuation and you look at the assessments, process or appeals process in accordance with city and state law, there's a lot there. So even folks that, have been involved with these types of things in the past, it's always good to at least run some refresher courses. Just very quickly, I'd be remiss if I didn't just talk Melissa up a little bit to my colleague. She is a absolute fantastic advocate over in Southwest Lansing, all things Coach Light Commons. She is a neighborhood watch coordinator and just, instrumental in terms of some of the community development things that we're doing over in Southwest Lansing. So I certainly endorse her candidacy for this reappointment. Thank you.
Right. Seeing no other questions, we'll entertain a motion to move forward the reappointment of Melissa Jeffries to the Board of Review. Councilmember Hussein, thank you. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Spitzley,
Yes.
Councilmember Jackson,
Yes.
Councilmember Garza,
Yes.
Councilmember Betts,
Yes.
Councilmember Hussein,
Yes.
Councilmember Wood,
Yes.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Yes, and hold on just a minute. Councilmember Dunbar is here. I will let her join us and then let her know what we're doing. Hold on. Councilmember Dunbar, we are just voting on the reappointment of Melissa Jeffries to the Board of Review. How do you vote?
I vote yes. I actually tried to text that to Sherry while I couldn't get my video on.
Very good.
I got the text.
Thank you. Oh, that's not going to work.
All right. Next item is the reappointment of James V. Anderton as the business owner member for the Downtown Lansing Inc. Board with a term to expire June 30th, 2024. Mr. Anderton, hold on just a moment. I'm going to give you the permission to speak. Hold on just a few minutes. And Ms. Jeffries, before you leave us, tonight at council, the council will act on this appointment. So anytime after tonight, you can make an appointment with the clerk's office to be sworn in. One moment.
Okay, will do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Everybody have a good night.
You too. Mr. Anderton, you are available if you would like to unmute or turn your video on, or both. You now may do so. This is an appointment to the Downtown Lansing Inc. Board of Directors, a reappointment, a position that Mr. Anderton has held before. I will open it up to you, Mr. Anderton, if there's anything you'd like to say. Otherwise, we'll open it up to questions from council members.
Thank you. I would only say that I've enjoyed my first term on the board. I currently serve as the president, so I'm hoping not to be interrupted in the middle of end of a 2-year term as the president, but I guess that's your prerogative.
Thank you, sir. Are there questions from council members? Councilmember Wood.
Thank you, President Spatafor. My question to you has to do with the downtown assessment, the principal shopping district assessment. And I know we had some problems with making sure that was done appropriately so that it was in the correct collection period. And I'm wondering what the board has done to make sure that the communication is there in the future.
We've been working with the financial folks at the city. I think Kathleen, our director, and Jim Tischler, who's our president, and I'm sorry, our treasurer, and I got to tell you, Jim has been a godsend as far as I'm concerned during this. I think we've got that pretty well ironed out. It was a complicated issue, and certainly a huge issue in terms of our budget and our situation. But I think it's on the way to being resolved.
Okay, my next question would be, in consideration of many of the businesses that have either downsized or closed, do you have you done any projections on what that might affect in the assessments that you are projecting for the coming budget year?
We've actually talked about that very issue in the past 2 board meetings. I don't have any specific numbers that I can give to you. I think it's an excellent question. We are concerned about it, certainly, especially as COVID drags on. It's a reality of the world in which we live. One thing that from my perspective as a board member is a good news is, Boji took the farm building, or what I guess he's calling the Louis. So that's going to come back on the tax rolls as well. So that's exciting for us. But it's, in terms of how the budget's going to look in the future, it's something we're very worried about. We discuss, well, since COVID's broke, we've probably discussed it every meeting, and certainly the past two, we have started looking at, how can we even go about making projections as to what that looks like. One thing I think to keep in mind, though, is that the assessment's levied against the property owner, not necessarily the business in the property if it's rented out. So there is, obviously there are times where there's going to be identity of interest there, but there are other times where someone who opened a restaurant and unfortunately may be gone at this time due to COVID, the underlying landowner is still there, still has an asset there. So I'm, hopefully we'll be a little more stable than it might look walking down the street. But I honestly, I don't have a great answer for you on that, and I wish I did.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, seeing no further questions, we'll need a motion to approve the resolution.
Sure. President Spatafor, I'd move the resolution for a reappointment of Mr. James B. Anderton as a business owner member of the Downtown Lansing Inc. Board.
Very good. Proper motion before us. Without further questions, I'll ask the clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Jackson,
Yes.
Councilmember Garza,
Yes.
Councilmember Betts,
Yes.
Councilmember Wood,
Yes.
Councilmember Spitzley. Yes, that was a yes.
Yes, it was
Okay.
a yes, yes.
Councilmember Dunbar,
Yes.
Councilmember Hussein,
Yes.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0.
All right, the next item is a resolution. Mr. Anderton, thank you very much thank you for being here today. As with the previous person, if you make an appointment with the clerk's office anytime after tonight, you should be able to be sworn in. Obviously, it's a little less urgent because it's a reappointment, so your term won't expire until you resign or, whatever. But please feel free to do that, and thank you for your willingness to serve.
Thank you. Be well, all.
You as well. All right. The next one is we have a resolution appointing Kara Nader as a business owner member for the Downtown Lansing Inc. Board of Directors with a term to expire June 30th, 2024. Kara, Ms. Nader, you are you're eligible to. I've made you a presenter, so you can turn on your mic and camera, but it looks like we're having some trouble here. Oh, there we go. All right. Kara, you're eligible. You can turn your mic on and your camera, or just your mic. There you are. Hi, welcome. If you'd like to say a few things, please let me know, or please go ahead, and then we'll open up to questions from the City Council.
I'd just like to say I am really happy that we've reappointed JV. He's been a great board president, and I feel like we've made a lot of progress in the past few years with the DLI organization, and I really hope to continue that. I felt right, like pre-COVID at the beginning of March at our last board meeting before that hit, we were really getting to a place where we were about to do a lot of great things we've been talking about and planning about for a long time. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. And thanks for your coffee. I enjoy it quite a bit. And those donuts too, but keto right now. So the first question comes from Councilmember Spitzley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I like her tea, and I will eat your donut and my donut too next time I go there. So I see on your application, and I really appreciated you saying this, that your one of your number one goals is to shift the volunteer committee and board volunteer demographic to a more diverse makeup, and how you guys have worked at the down there at the DLI to do that. So I don't really have as much of a question, just to kind of thank you for, including that, and thank you for having that as one of your goals. I do think that under Kathleen, the Downtown Lansing Inc., they've done wonderful things. I'm excited about what's going on there. And I want to thank you for your service. And, what do you see, other than what I just mentioned, what do you see maybe is one of the number one roadblocks that you guys are challenges that you're dealing with on the board?
With regards to diversity or in general as a whole?
In general.
In general as a whole, honestly, right now, I mean, COVID-19 is really highlighting an issue that we had before, which was a lot of vacant properties. What do we do with those vacant properties? How do we get people interested in them? We were running some very fun pop-up events for a while. Obviously, we had to cease doing that. But through those pop-up events, we were actually beginning to talk with business owners who were willing to open restaurants downtown. And it really opened an avenue for us. So right now, getting back, I think, into that position, how do we do that right now? How do we fill those vacant locations? How do we create and help businesses that are existing and struggling downtown? I think that's the primary struggle we're going to be dealing with for the next year at least.
Thank you, Councilmember Spitzley. Councilmember Hussein.
You know, President Spatafor, I think I forgot to put my hand down. I think Councilwoman Spitzley is a mind reader because I was going to give Ms. Nader the same affirmation. I also noticed that her application was submitted at 5:30 in the morning. So, you know, life of a small business owner, we appreciate how hard you work in terms of your business, but also the advancement of all businesses in the downtown area. I think the only thing, Ms. Nader, if you could for the public, could you tell us where you all meet, what date, so location, date, and time?
We usually meet on Thursdays at 11:30 in the morning. Those are over Zoom right now. When they're not at Zoom, they're in the DLI office. And I really encourage people to come and participate in them. Rarely people do. And DLI is responsible for so much downtown, and so many people have very strong opinions about that. But I don't know if they really know that they can have a voice in that. So I think that's important.
Thank you. Councilmember Wood.
Hello, I probably should have asked this question to Mr. Anderton, but I will ask you, what other trainings or what types of trainings does the board undertake, and who does those trainings?
So that's a great question. We do an annual training, or we were planning to re-up that with Michigan Main Street program. We canceled those trip plans. Other than that, I would honestly love more training as a board member. The DLI initial training that I had was maybe a half-hour PowerPoint presentation with bullet points, and it was pretty basic. It was my first board appointment, and no one explained even the basics of how to engage in a board setting with me. Everyone just assumed that I knew what was going on. So that kind of training I think would be very helpful, and also even the basic understanding of city government. City government is very complicated, as you all know. Most people don't know that. And when you step into a position like this, it's great to have ideas and you can talk to a lot of people about a lot of things, but not understanding that there are 20 layers of bureaucracy and who to go through, who to talk to do that, I think could be very helpful.
So, do you receive any training on the Open Meetings Act at all?
I don't think so. I apologize. My brain's a little mushy since COVID and running my business, but no, I don't think so.
That's all right. That's one of the things that I would recommend. I've made this recommendation before to the city attorney's office, that all the boards and commissions go through the different trainings dealing with open meetings ethics and the human rights ordinance. So I would encourage that, that those things be looked at and somehow integrated into whether it's their annual meeting or whatever, especially, again, we want the boards to be successful, and this is one of the ways that helps them to be successful.
Great, thank you very much. So absent any other questions from City Council, Vice President Hussein, I'll entertain a motion to reappoint Karen Nader as a business owner member for the Downtown Lansing Inc. Board.
So moved.
Thank you. Proper motion is before us. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Hussein.
Yes.
Councilmember Wood.
Yes.
Councilmember Spitzley.
Yes.
Councilmember Dunbar.
Yes.
Councilmember Jackson.
Yes.
Councilmember Garza.
Yes.
Councilmember Betts.
Yes.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nader. I just want to reiterate what I've said to others is after this meeting, we'll have our city council meeting where we presumably will vote on this, and then you may schedule an appointment with the city clerk to be sworn in for your next term on the board. Thank you for your continued interest in serving the city.
Thank you, everyone.
Next appointment we have before us is Mark Eagle as a 4th Ward member for the Human Relations and Community Services Board with a term expiring 6/30/2024. Mr. Eagle, I think I didn't locate, there you are. If you would like to say anything, opening statements or anything like that, you're certainly welcome to. Otherwise, we can open up for questions. And I think you're muted, Mr. Eagle. There you go.
I'd just like to say thank you for reconsidering my reappointment.
Thank you very much. And I just want to thank you too for continuing service. I know I've seen your name and seen you around in a number of service capacities through our community and really appreciate your willingness to step up and get involved. Councilmember Wood.
Thank you, President Spatafor. Mark, it's good to see you. I know that you sat on the HRCS board during the leadership of Joan Jackson Johnson, and now you're there with the new director. Has there been any additional trainings and things that have happened since the new director has come into place? Are there some things that you learned during the process of being on the board that you wish you would have had additional information serving as a board member?
Like always, it would be great that if we could get more training on the Open Meetings Act and FOIA. We've talked about that in the past with the board, and I've talked to a couple of council members about increasing that awareness about the Open Meetings Act and the FOIA, and that would be really helpful as a board member in moving us forward and being organized. As of being a part of the transition from Director Joan Jackson to Director Coleman, like any other leadership position, there's always different leadership styles and getting familiarized with the board. So that's always been a very interesting transition. Being part of the board before with Joan Jackson, we had a bunch of different responsibilities that I think that's kind of concerning that we don't have anymore, specifically with the discrimination complaints with the LPD. We used to have the complaint system with the HRCS, and I don't know when that was got rid of, but that was some recent developments that I wish that the board had more input into. But other than that, it's been really informative being on the board. We've gone over the grant process and looked over all the grants that HRCS provides throughout the city and learning about the different programs and that HRCS provides and the city of Lansing provides was a really good process in learning how we impact our local community with those grants. So,
Mark, with some of the new initiatives that are being incorporated by both the administration and the new director dealing with discrimination and racism, can you tell us some of the things that the board is looking at?
the board is currently working with the mayor's racial injustice and equality alliance and working with the mayor's diversity and inclusion council and a couple other different boards, police board of commissioners, to address this issue of discrimination. So it's relatively new, and seeing how this process will work out, talking about discrimination and seeing how we can move the city forward in those matters.
Thank you.
Councilmember
Spitzley.
Thank you, Mr. President. So, Mark, I also want to thank you for your service. Trying to get more people involved, and so I'm very happy that you're being reappointed. I did want to follow up on what you said in response to Councilmember Wood's question. how are you guys handling complaints that come through per, our human rights ordinance? What's the process that your board or the board's going through to address those? Can you go through that again?
Well, that's the problem is at some point in the last year, that responsibility has been taken away from us, I believe. We used to have the investigator that was part-time with LPD and HRCS. And on my time on the HRCS, we never received a complaint, but there was complaints in the prior past that we received before coming onto that board. But now we don't have that responsibility anymore where we're using that board investigator or we're not, I don't believe we're a part of that process anymore.
Thank you for that. I think that at some point we'd probably want to have a discussion come through Cal as to what that process is now and who's actually handling those complaints. But I appreciate the information.
Thank you. Council Member Hussein, then Dunbar.
Just very quickly, Mr. Eagle, first of all, as the other two stated, I certainly appreciate your service, not only as part of this board, but also the Mayor's Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Council, so your participation on that body as well. Truly appreciated. In your application, one of the things that you discussed in terms of reasons for seeking reappointment is that you really wanted to, or I should say that the board was making good progress on making kind of transparent and accessible the programs and the offerings of the HRCS department. And so I'm wondering what it is that you guys have done recently, what it is that you believe in terms of work still needing to be done, and what maybe you're looking to do over the next year or two.
So definitely the grant process has highlighted some very important areas: food security throughout the city, housing, literacy, getting active with youth in our community, several different areas in which we can improve on, and that is very vital and important to our community. A lot of residents have voiced their concerns, and I don't think they realize that some of the grants that we provide that could be expanded and repeated across the city. We have good pilot programs in the Allen Park area and a bunch of different other areas that could be replicated throughout the city and benefit people.
Great, thank you, Councilmember Hussein. Councilmember Dunbar.
Thank you. And I apologize. I didn't want to get up and move the light again, but I know I look like Cousin It, and I'm sorry. I had a similar concern. Thank you for bringing it up, Councilmember Spitzley. I am wondering if anybody from the administration or law can say what happened to the position that was held by Bernard Brantley, and why was it removed from the HRCS responsibilities?
Mr. Smirka?
My recollection is that there is a job description that is out on the street right now. I can be corrected, but there is a process to replace the position held by the former investigator. I know that there was a job description that was being rewritten, and it may be on the street right now. We can get back with you, Kathy, on specifics. Linda has all the details on that. Linda Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr.
Something
Smirka.
that would still be housed in HRCS? Sorry, Peter.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like Deputy Mayor Harkins has something to add to this.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Brantley retired earlier this year, and that position has not been refilled, but the duties, to my knowledge, still remain in HRCS. I'm talking to the mayor and Kim right now because when Mr. Eagle said that, I was surprised. They have not moved from that board. We haven't had complaints go to the board this year, perhaps that they have not gone through that process, but to my knowledge, they still go through the HRCS board. That is still the process. But that position has not yet been filled.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Wood, looks like you're next.
Thank you. It was my understanding in talking to Drew Macon just before he resigned from the Board of Police Commissioners, that they had filled that position. So if we could check into that to see where that is. And they'd actually started making some assignments. Second of all, the ordinance requires that it still be housed in HRCS, that it's not part of the police department. That's why it's a citizen investigator. So we've not changed the ordinance. So it would still be going through the HRCS board, but I would be curious as to the fact of whether the person that Mr. Macon indicated had been hired hasn't been hired, or whether we just haven't received that information. And if we could, and that person has been, could we please get the name of the person that is holding that position?
And it looks like Samantha, Deputy Mayor Harkins, would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Wood. I will look into it. It may be an issue with the hiring freeze as well, so I will find out. And I'm also happy to have Kim Coleman here to talk about this at the next Cal meeting if there's interest in that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilmember Spitzley?
Kim here. I think that we had already, excuse me, I think that Councilmember Wood had already asked for the list of people that were hired in the hiring freeze. We know what the criteria are, so I'd be interested to know if that person wasn't hired, why they didn't meet the criteria. But I understood, if we're talking about the investigator within the police department, I understood that person had been hired. And so I am interested in also meeting that person and figuring out what they do and what their vision is. And maybe that happens as part of, our equity committee, but I would very much be interested in hearing from that person as well. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to move this conversation along because it's while relatively germane, it's not germane to this reappointment, and we can come back to it at the tail end of the meeting if we want to. But I appreciate that. It sounds like, Samantha, you're going to get with Director Coleman and get back with us on the answers to these questions. And in case you all did miss it, we did get that email from, I think the mayor sent it himself with the list of hires. So that loop was closed, at least to some extent. I need a motion to approve the appointment of Mr. Mark Eagle as a fourth ward member of the Human Relations and Community Services Board by Mr. Vice President Hussein.
I would move the reappointment of Mr. Mark Eagle.
All right, the motion is properly before us. Any further discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Dunbar.
Yes.
Councilmember Wood.
Yes.
Councilmember Hussein.
Yes.
Councilmember Spitzley.
Yes.
Councilmember Betts.
Yes.
Councilmember Garza.
Yes.
Councilmember Jackson.
Yes.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you, Mr. Eagle. As has been said to others, if after this evening you can make an appointment with the clerk's office to be sworn in for your next term, please do so. We greatly appreciate your willingness to serve the city of Lansing. Thank you. All right. The next the next appointment that we have is Matthew Solak as an at-large member of the Board of Zoning Appeals with a term to expire on 6/30/2023. Mr. Solak, welcome aboard. We've been giving everyone an opportunity to provide an opening statement or something along those lines. If you'd like to do that, this is your opportunity.
Sure. So I've been on the BZA for, I think, almost about 2 years. So I've enjoyed it. It's not always the most exciting board, but we deal with, I guess, a lot of details. So happy to learn zoning for the city. Obviously, appreciate the consideration for reappointment to the board, and live in Colonial Village in South Lansing, and that's about it.
Very good. Well, thank you, Mr. Solak. I noticed in your application that you mentioned, ensuring a fair process, and really appreciate that there's an objective process behind the BZA appeals that do come before you. I don't see hands for, oh, no, there we go. I knew you wouldn't get out of here without a question from at least Councilmember Wood. So Councilmember Wood.
Thank you. One of the questions I've been asking on most of the reappointments is the types of training that you receive as part of the board that you sit on. And knowing that the Zoning Board of Appeals, those decisions do not come back to council. Those decisions, if someone wants to appeal them, end up at circuit court. Could you tell us some of the training and the things that are that you've received as part of that board?
Yes, sure. So, when I first was appointed to the board, Sue, who's the zoning administrator, kind of gives us a fairly good packet with, the criteria that the BZA uses to make determinations. The one nice thing with BZA is that it's fairly straightforward. We have hardship provisions that are in the zoning code, and then also some impact criteria that we have to go through for the community when somebody is looking for a variance on the BZA. So Sue does a great job providing us and really kind of keeping us focused on what the hardship provisions say, and then what the what the impact to the community would be if we do provide a variance. So we have a fairly set criteria that we go off of, and she provided all that at the beginning, and we have a fairly streamlined process for kind of going through those, and she does a great job with the packets and making sure we're kind of basing our decisions based off those guidelines.
Thank you, Matt. Do you receive any training on the Open Meetings Act and the Ethics Ordinance?
No, we have not necessarily had training on those.
Okay, Jim, again. I'm encouraged.
May I speak?
Yes.
We have a standing offer to all boards. All they have to do is ask. We've repeated this a number of times. So if the board, the zoning board wants it, all they need to do is ask.
I understand that it might be a board asking, but I think part of the criteria should be that the fact that a sitting board needs to go through an annual training. Again, if there's violations of the ethics ordinance or the Open Meetings Act, and for them to come back and say that it was the fact that they didn't receive the training, I think it does not bode well, especially when we have that opportunity. So I, again, would encourage that all boards and commissions receive at least the Open Meetings, FOIA, and the Ethics Ordinance. Thank you. And thank you, Matt.
Councilmember Spitzley to the appointment.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you for your service. The whole thing about this, I don't know. I think that that's something that, Samantha, as we're talking here, is maybe we need to think about having that just a general requirement of boards instead of, that, because I do think that that is important. And we have run into instances where boards are meeting, or they have sub meetings, or they have whatever, and they're not well versed in Opens Meetings Act and FOIA and those type of things. And so I would strongly suggest that our administration work with the boards, and if it is an open invitation from Jim to work with, from our city attorney, to work with them to make sure that they get that education. That's and Matt, thank you for your service.
But not really to the appointment, but thank you, Matt.
Yeah.
Are there other questions related to this individual's appointment to this board? All right, none. So I would like a motion to approve the resolution.
President Spatafor, I would move the resolution of reappointment for Matthew Solik as an at-large member to the Board of Zoning Appeals. This is the term to expire 6/30/2023.
All right, very good. Motion has been made with no further questions, it appears. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Hussein?
Yes.
Councilmember Wood?
Yes.
Councilmember Spitzley?
Yes.
Councilmember Betts?
Yes.
Councilmember Dunbar?
Yes.
Councilmember Jackson?
Yes.
Councilmember Garza?
Yes.
Councilmember Spatafor?
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you very much, Mr. Solak. Like the other present people before you, if you make an appointment with the clerk's office starting tomorrow, we'll be able to swear you in unless council rejects your appointment later this evening, which I do not suspect will be the case. But
Thank you.
you never know.
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
Very good. Jim, before we move on to the next one, I know as a condition of my service on the city council, I have to go through certain trainings annually. Is that something we can require of our boards and commissions through ordinance, or is that something within the purview of the administration?
You can put it in an ordinance amendment, but it's basically an administration thing. I'm just writing a text right now to remind my staff. We're going to put a written invitation out to every board and to the chair, asking them to contact us, and we'll do the training.
Okay.
It's not an issue. I don't think we need to go through the routine.
Right.
I think we need to nudge the boards to just ask, and then we'll do the training.
Okay, thank you. And I see Councilmember Wood has a question.
I did ask Jim at one time to put together an ordinance that would require boards and commissions to have those trainings. And I know it was something he was looking at, and this was before we had all the COVID and everything. And I know it's not necessarily a hot topic, item out there, but I think that, again, city attorneys come and go, council members come and go. I think, though, that this needs to be a requirement so that, again, that they can do their job the way they need to do it. So thank you.
Well, in Jim's case, it comes and goes and then comes back. All right. Moving on to the next one, Mr. Jordan Leeming is an appointment as the at-large member of the Board of Zoning Appeals with a term to expire 6/30/2023. I'm going to open it up to you, Mr. Leeming, that we've been giving folks an opportunity to say something as an opening statement before we turn it over to council members for questions. If you have had any training in the Open Meetings Act and want to avoid the question from Councilmember Wood, I would mention it in my opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Spatafor. In the interest of time, I will dispel with any opening comments. I was appointed with the previous administration to this particular board. To that question, no, there's been no reach out for that type of training. I think the biggest issue with the zoning board when I started was we couldn't get a quorum. So my colleague there, Mr. Solak, I'm happy to see that he's on the call, and we do have folks showing up to those meetings, which is obviously important to have a quorum. And thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Are there questions from council members? Councilmember Jackson.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank Mr. Lemming for serving. I know he's very active with his family and does a lot with his family and kids and everything. And so just like many other people who sacrifice their time, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone? Bueller? All right. Mr. Vice President, could I have a motion, please?
Sure. I would move the resolution for reappointment of Mr. Jordan Leeming as an at-large member to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Again, this is a term to expire June 30th, 2023.
Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, I would ask that the clerk please call the roll.
Councilmember Wood.
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Hussein.
Yes.
Councilmember Spitzley.
Yes.
Councilmember Jackson.
Yes.
Councilmember Dunbar.
Yes.
Councilmember Betts.
Yes.
Councilmember Garza.
Yes.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you, Mr. Leeming. I think you heard me before, but if you want to make an appointment with the clerk to be sworn in after we vote this evening, thank you for your service to the city.
Thank you all. Have a nice night.
You too. All right. The next one is we have an appointment for John Crone, a reappointment as an at-large member of the Board of Public Service with a term to expire on 6/30/2024. I do not see John on the phone, but we have one phone number that I don't know who it is, so I've unmuted you. Your phone number ends in 1079. If that's you, Mr. Crone, please let me know. Otherwise, we will move on. Who is phone number 1079? Oh, okay. We're going to move on then. We'll shelve that one for now, and then move on to the reappointment of Mr. Kurt Berryman as an at-large member of the Board of Zoning Appeals, again with a term to expire on 6/30/2023. Mr. Berryman, you are able to turn on your microphone and camera, or just your microphone now. Looks like, where'd you go? There you are. I think that's one of his children. I don't think that's Mr. Berryman.
No, that sounds like Kurt to me.
A little bit.
Can you hear me, Mr. President?
Yes, we can, Kurt.
Can you see me?
I can't see you. No, I can. Let me see if I can.
I sure wanted the video, I sure wanted to be seen. But Mr. President, I want to thank Mayor Shore for reappointing me to this. I've had a great time on this zoning board. I wish I could have talked during Mr. Lynn's renomination, because he's the one that said, come on this board. It's just about fences and signs. Well, that really wasn't the case.
Tricked you.
But yeah, I'm glad to be on the board. As Mr. Lemming said, I think one of the biggest challenges has been to have a full board. And the last couple of meetings, we've had a full 9-member board, and it's been exciting, learned a lot, and would be happy to answer any questions. And Councilwoman Wood, no, I've not been trained.
In anything.
He's untrainable, I heard.
I've heard the same. All right. Are there any questions for Mr. Berryman? Seeing none, let's have a motion from Councilmember Hussein to move the appointment forward.
I would move the resolution of reappointment for Kurt Berryman as an at-large member of the Board of Zoning Appeals for a term to expire June 30th, 2023.
Very good. Motion before us. There's Kurt. If there's any other discussion, please say so now. All right. Sherry, please call the roll.
Councilmember Betts.
Yes.
Councilmember Garza.
Yes.
Councilmember Dunbar.
Yes.
Councilmember Hussein.
Yes.
Councilmember Spitzley.
Yes.
Councilmember Wood.
Yes.
Councilmember Jackson.
Yes.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you very much. Kurt, again, if you make an appointment with the clerk's office, he can swear you in as soon as we vote on it this evening. Thank you very much for your time and for your service.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the council. Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
All right, I'm going to do one more last call here on John Crone. If John is on the phone, please say so now. If not, we're going to move on.
Hi, this is not John Crone. I'm just an interested party.
Thank you. Sorry to bother you. Thank you. John's not on the phone, so we're going to move forward. Council, it is the, if you look at the agenda for City Council this evening, these appointments are all listed under the consent agenda. So if you wish to vote on one separately, we'll deal with that under consent. But as usual with the consent, we will have the Vice President read the list of things that we'll be voting on and then take them all as one. In the interest of 8 roll call votes in the era of Zoom meetings, we thought it might be more expeditious to do it that way, but certainly still explain what it is we're voting on. So just wanted you to be looking for that tonight at 7 o'clock. The next item is the resolution with the disposition of city property and the transfer of properties administered by the Lansing Housing Commission. We have with us the city attorney who can help explain parts of this, as well as Mr. Doug Fleming from the Lansing Housing Commission. Mr. Smirka, I think there was a wrinkle to this afternoon that you wanted to explain.
This is the transfer and the divesting of the properties owned by the city of Lansing to the Housing Commission as a result of a process of independence to the Housing Commission. We have an issue here with the number of properties, and we have a charter and ordinance provision that requires a public hearing. And so this needs to be introduced in a public hearing set. That's the wrinkle that's in there. And I have Mr. Venker on, I think also, if you want to unmute him, he's got to earn his keep. He's been in the meeting all since 5 o'clock. So I'd ask him to, he drafted the resolution, and I'd ask if you would entertain his comments on this.
Yes, and also council, there was a resolution sent today at about 3:30 that sets the public hearing that accompanies this resolution for the dissolution of property. So the one that will be last minute addition will be the public hearing for August. Hold on just a second. July 31st,
August 31st.
August 31st.
I'm looking at the wrong thing. Hold on. I'm sorry. Oh, never mind. Yes, August 31st. Mr. Venker.
Thank you. I do not have adequate lighting to share my terrible video. But so this process it's begun about 3 times, but in its current incarnation, it began most recently in January. Things were moving along, and then COVID happened to everyone. As council knows, I think we had introduced the ordinance prior to all the lockdowns to amend the city ordinance to allow for transfer of the property into the sole name of the Lansing Housing Commission. This is fundamentally so that they can take advantage of a bunch of HUD programs that allow for them to get financing to renovate and bring up to date most of their properties, which is very good. There was a resolution. I think there was some confusion after the ordinance got passed. Everybody thought that we could just start transferring the properties. But the actual resolution, council has to approve for the sale of property. Disposition, it's called in the charter and in the ordinances. The resolution was introduced for council consideration, and I think was placed on agenda or introduced to be set to committee at last meeting. And there was the omission of a set public hearing resolution. And I apologize for that. And so then it was on for this agenda for action tonight, which would have been premature under the charter and ordinances. The resolution was a resolution for set public hearing was set. There is a memorandum of understanding that we will get on file, I believe, tomorrow. We have it finished, but it has to actually be received by the clerk so that the timer can begin under the charter 30 days prior to transaction or prior to public hearing rather. That memorandum of understanding is actually fairly straightforward. It says that the city is going to transfer all these properties into the name of the Housing Commission. And in exchange for that, the Housing Commission is indemnifying the city. They're taking over ownership essentially. So they indemnify the city and related to those properties. And then the city is also agreeing to continue to keep the major the major multifamily units as pilot, or that they will pay in lieu of taxes. They will make payments under the pilot provisions per ordinance, and I think council has even approved some of those or received them recently. So that's where we are on those. The 30th day, the nearest council meeting within 30 days is going to be that August 31st. So that'll be the public hearing, and then at the next meeting, council can either approve or reject the transfer of the properties.
Okay, so just to clarify before I move on to council member questions, Mr. Venker, we are approving the resolution to set the public hearing, not the resolution to dissolve the property. Okay.
That is correct.
Okay. And there is a typo in the resolution that Sherry's going to make sure to correct. The first paragraph says August 31st. The last paragraph says July 31st. They will say both August 31st before we vote on them this evening at council. All right. Councilmember Spitzley, then Wood.
I'm sorry, I'm so confused. So I'm gonna walk through this. So the ordinance that's in our packet, what does that do?
The resolution that's in the packet
resolution
is,
that's in our packet, yes,
right.
I'm sorry.
That's the resolution to actually transfer to authorize the mayor to sign a bunch of deeds to give all of those properties over to the Lansing Housing Commission.
Okay, and you're saying that we needed, in order to do that per the charter, we need to, because I'm assuming because it's city-owned property, we need to have a public hearing.
Correct.
And so we didn't know that before all of it. It just seems like this is taking so long. So I'm
It
trying to figure out,
does.
is this how the process really goes? And if it is, we need to kind of try to streamline this thing somewhere, because we've been working on this a long time, haven't we?
This is your second
It
term.
is.
Patricia.
Yeah, welcome to government, right?
Okay, so and the quit claim deed is just for the spreadsheet of all the homes. It's not for the apartment complexes. Right?
That those complexes are listed. The spreadsheet lists all of the properties that are essentially owned by the city for the benefit of the Lansing Housing Commission. So those are all the commission administrated properties. It includes the 4 big developments. I think they call them the RADs. And
well, I think they're going through the RAD process.
Oh, you're right. Those are the ones.
Something else.
Correct.
But
you're right.
Okay.
Those are, yes, those are included within that. The deed that you see is the general form of deed. So there's going to be, because, for example, some of the properties sit in Ingham County and some of the properties sit in Eaton County. And so the deed will say the proper county and then list the appropriate properties that are being transacted.
Right, and are those, so again, so it's for the scattered homes, or is it the scattered home and the townhomes?
It is for, at this point, this will be for all of them.
All of them.
Originally, right, before everything sort of got compressed, well, everything got fractured and then compressed related to COVID, the intent was to do the big 4 first and then start working through the scattered sites. And in the interest of getting it done quickly, the Housing Commission is comfortable taking all the scattered sites, because there had been originally some discussion about the city may transact to individual other entities that may qualify if LHC didn't want to take all the scattered sites. You know, there are other housing administrative public interest entities within the area that could take some of these properties. But at this point, LHC is going to take, it's my understanding, and that's what the resolution would do, is going to take all those properties and then administer them as they can.
Okay. Right. Okay.
It is a, I mean, this is a complex issue, and it's made more complex by the ordinance that we had to change the ordinance before we could do anything. Because it would have been improper for council to consider a resolution to transact the properties,
right?
If the ordinance expressly prohibited it.
And I got that part. I got that part. I just thought we were done when we changed the ordinance, and so that's why I was just asking. It seems to have dragged on a bit.
I cannot disagree.
Okay.
Well, it took 7 years for Red Cedar. I think this is incredibly fast, if you ask me. All right, moving on to Councilmember Wood, and then Councilmember Jackson. I see you, Brian. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, President Spatafore. Will we have any assurance that all fees and fines have been paid before the transfer of property?
That is required anyway, but I'm sure Mr. Fleming can speak to that. It's my understanding that those are current or will be current. I know that was a big thing that LHC had been very progressive and successful with after Mr. Fleming came on, but I'll let him speak to that. I'm not aware of any outstanding fees at the moment, but I also appreciate that code compliance abatements are sort of a rolling target. So I won't speak directly to that.
Okay. Does Mr. Fleming want to address that issue? Doug, are you there? Do you want to speak up on that, or?
Mr. Chair, what I would be looking for before the passage of this is some written statement that says that those that all of the fees and fines have been taken care of before the transfer of property.
Mr. Smirka?
We'll take care of it. We're not going to transfer the properties unless that's all done.
That's what I want to hear. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Doug
Mr. Fleming.
Yeah, there are no outstanding fees. Those have all been settled. We pay them as they come in. We don't really have any. I mean, the only fees that we have is as they do inspections, they send us an inspection fee. We pay it. They do the inspection. We go from there. There are no outstanding balances with the city of Lansing.
Thank you.
And then Jim, if you'll just, since it doesn't sound like it will be a problem, if you could just reaffirm that in writing, would be great. Thank you.
All right.
Councilmember Wood, are you finished?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Jackson, then Dunbar.
Thank you. So it's my understanding that we forgot to set a public hearing, and that's what we have to do. And if that's true, then, I mean, is that true?
We're setting the public hearing now for August 31st.
Okay, so that means we basically didn't have like the public input. So whatever I voted on or thought I voted on in the past, I would have to, of course, take it back and hope that there is some public input. And I think it's a very big challenge that we face when we routinely set public hearings per the charter, which is what we should do, but we routinely don't hear many people. There's some people, but not many people from the public. And, you know, I take responsibility as well as far as not making, I guess, more people available for that. But my point is that we talk about it's been so long, let's hurry up, but we forgot the public hearing. So
I just want to clarify, Councilmember Jackson, we didn't forget a public hearing. We did a public hearing on the ordinance change.
Right.
What was forgotten in this case was to dissolve the property. We also have to have a public hearing, but it's not a public hearing that's 2 weeks. It's the 30-day notice public hearing. And we didn't forget it. This packet, when it was referred to us Friday, just didn't have the resolution saying that we were setting a public hearing. So it's a public hearing on actually selling the property, not a public hearing on changing the ordinance. So we did follow all the public hearing procedures for the ordinance change, just not the dissolution of property.
yeah, and I mean, no matter what it was, my point is that we forgot a public hearing. All I'm saying is that I hope that people come out and say anything they want to say for or against it. And I'm just highlighting that our overall thing is that we never have people speak at public hearings. I mean, occasionally, yes, but what can we do to try to get more citizen engagement? That's what I want to find out. So, you know, like I said, scattered houses, I heard other options that the attorney said there was other things that would be public service related options. So, you know, it would be nice to hear if any groups or anybody's available to come out and say they want a piece of it or they have an idea, whatever it's worth. I would like to hear it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I think you misspoke when you made that final comment. We did not forget a public hearing for those paying attention at home. We will be setting a public hearing tonight. And Jim, did you want to clarify anything that I said?
What you said, Mr. President, that is correct on the ordinance, but also there was, you know, the intervening thing with COVID, there was a legal debate between the attorneys, not necessarily in our office, but outside attorneys, whether there needed to be a second public hearing, and the city attorney made a call that we needed another public hearing, basically after looking at this. So it wasn't forgotten. It was a call that we made that requires a public hearing to be consistent with the charter. So it wasn't forgotten. It was just a call that we made. It was a debate that no public hearing was needed the second time. I just want to clarify that.
Thank you. Okay, council members Dunbar, Hussein, and Spitzley, are there still comments to be made? Councilmember Dunbar.
I do. I was just, you look great in your car there, Doug. I was wondering if you could reiterate for the group what we had talked about earlier about restrictions put on the deeds as far as HUD goes to make sure that those stay low-income housing moving forward so that we don't lose them out of the pool that we have in the city right now, because it's really important.
Mr. Fleming.
Yes, the HUD process does require that the property will remain affordable. The big difference is that through the Section 18 program that we're talking about, where we will make the sale of the houses, and we've never talked about someone else buying the houses instead of us assuming control of them. So Mr. Vinker misspoke as it relates to that. The process has always been that Lansing Housing Commission would assume control of the properties that we manage and have a declaration of trust with HUD, and then we would sell those properties. But as a part of that Section 18 process, HUD does require that the properties remain affordable. The difference is that today, the person living in the home has what's called a project-based voucher. The project-based voucher means that when that person leaves that residence, they no longer have a voucher. Once we go through the Section 18 process, that person will get a tenant protection voucher, which means that they can remain in that property with what's basically a Section 8 voucher, or if they choose to move to somewhere else that will accept a Section 8 voucher, they can do that as well. So it actually increases the flexibility of the resident who's living at the scattered home.
Thank you, Mr. Fleming. Other questions from Councilmember Dunbar? Are you all set? Thumbs up if you're good. Thank you. Councilmember Spitzley.
Thank you. I think, Doug, you responded to me because I didn't think that there was an opportunity or an option that outside entities would be able to take over the homes. And so I want us to be clear when we're talking about this, because I don't want it to seem like, you know, we're in this group of homes or doing whatever to the Lansing Housing Commission when there was another option. Could you explain just briefly so that we got it clear what the relationship is between the scattered homes and your townhouses, HUD, and the city of Lansing? Because I want to make sure that there's no miscommunication about the ultimate disposition of these properties.
Right. So we own 4 amps, Mount Vernon, Leroy Fro, Hildebrandt, and South Washington, as they're referred to by HUD. In addition to that, we have about 230 scattered homes, which includes both condos. There's a couple of smaller 20-unit buildings, and then some single-family homes. HUD has a variety of tools in which we can run them through what's called the RAD process. The RAD process is effectively you're taking the properties out of public housing and moving them into Section 8 housing. This is being promoted by and aggressively pursued by HUD with all public housing throughout the entire United States. We're not unique here in Lansing. The problem that we had in Lansing is that even though we have a declaration of trust that we and HUD believe that we own all of the properties, at the Register of Deeds office, it said that some of the properties were actually listed in our name. Some of the properties were listed in the name of the city of Lansing. However, after consulting with the legal team at City of Lansing, it was determined that the charter, no matter what was going on at the Register of Deeds, that the charter said that we could not own property in our name. The charter prevented us from doing that. The process that we went through earlier this year, where we did have a public hearing, was to allow Lansing Housing Commission as an entity to own property. So we made that change within the charter. Subsequent to that, legal has now informed us that we need this resolution, and subsequent to that, they have now said that we need a public hearing in order to approve the resolution. So this is all new information to the Lansing Housing Commission, and I'm going to be honest with you, it's been a very frustrating process. We have an approval of a loan with MISTA and tax credits that we were hoping to close on September 1st. And it's going to be about a $12 million investment in the city of Lansing that frankly is now in jeopardy, because if we have a public hearing on the 31st of August, I'm not sure where our timing is with all of this. So we're going to have to go back to MISTA and begin to work on this. and see what we can do. That's a us problem, but it is frustrating from our standpoint because we started this process with the city in November of 2019. So anyways, we will own all the properties at the signing of the quitclaim deed that Mr. Smirka just talked about, which would include all of the AMPs, the 4 major properties I talked about, and all the scattered housing. And we are currently in a declaration of trust with HUD to manage those properties, to own and manage those properties as far as HUD is concerned.
Peter,
Peter,
you're
you're
mute.
muted.
You're muted.
Sorry. Thank you, Councilmember Spitzley. Thank you, Mr. Fleming. Councilmember Jackson.
Thanks. Just to my colleagues, so I understand there's a lot of legalese that's going on and all that, but wouldn't it be awesome if one of those homes went to Mikey 23 Foundation or something like that? I know they would hook it up, and I know that some family would love to live in there. For example, that's all I got to say. And of course, public hearings, I want to hear what people have to say as well.
Thank you. So we need a motion to pass the resolution setting the public hearing for August 31st, 2020. Councilmember Hussein.
So moved.
Motion has been, the resolution has been moved. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Hussein,
Yes.
Councilmember Jackson,
Yes.
Councilmember Garza,
Yes.
Councilmember Betts,
Yes.
Councilmember Dunbar,
Yes.
Councilmember Wood,
Yes.
Councilmember Spitzley,
Yes.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Yes,
Motion carries 8-0 for a public hearing on August 31st.
which we'll probably still be doing virtually, just to prepare you all for that. The next item is a resolution on social districts. I'm going to pull this from the agenda. It was discovered today that all the social districts that we wish to create are actually in public spaces, which according to our liquor ordinance prohibits consumption in public spaces. So it will actually require ordinance change to move forward with. So I appreciate all the work that's gone into this and the interest from other council members. And I've talked to a number of business owners and so on and so forth, but there are some changes in ordinance that would be necessary for this to happen. And we're just not prepared to have that conversation today. So I'm going to pull that, but I do have Councilmember Wood with a question or comment.
Thank you, President Spatafor. This goes back to the previous resolution that we passed for the public hearing. Is there anything that would preclude us from having the public hearing on the 31st and passing it on the 31st?
No.
Otherwise, you're looking at September 14th before the passage of the resolution. So
yes, after the comments, after Mr. Fleming demonstrated that there was a timeliness issue on this, back in my head was we could do the hearing the same night that we pass it. And obviously, if there's strong opposition from the public, we could reconsider that. But that would be the sequencing I would plan.
Thank you. My next is again with the social districts. I know I'm not sure whether other council members did, but I did receive some comments about making sure that residents that are living within the boundaries of those social districts would also be notified so that they're able to have comments. So if we're looking at changing the ordinance, any of those types of things, I think we need to make sure that we're considering that as well.
Yes, and thank you. It's clear now that this is probably not going to be a 2020 issue, just given the timeline of our ordinance passage process. So there will be a more robust input process for it. But thank you for that, Councilmember Wood.
Great, thank you.
And the next item is just committee assignments. It's a resolution that, or just for your information, that was passed out today. That the new committee on equity, diversity, and inclusion is chaired by Councilmember Spitzley, Vice Chair Councilmember Dunbar, with the third member being myself. And then I know this is going to come as a heartbreak for some of you, but we have eliminated the ad hoc committee on ordinance and policy modernization because we have not had a chance to meet, and we will not meet before our deadline So we're going to just get rid of it and try again another time. So that's all I got on those. And just wanted to summarize a few things we talked about this evening. One was we wanted to get a little bit more follow-up on the HRC investigator position, which it sounds like Deputy Mayor Harkins is on top of and can get back to us either here or through email. And then Mr. Smirtka was going to follow up with some training offers for boards and commissions in the city. And then Councilmember Jackson.
Thank you. Just on the agenda item of the committee assignments. So I was just curious on, because it was kind of Councilperson Betts's like initiative, so to speak, to kind of like look at possible police defunding, et cetera, and different options. I was just wondering why he wasn't on the committee.
In discussions with him, it was not his. I won't speak for you, Brandon, but it was my understanding that in consultation with you that this was a committee structure that looked good. I had conversation with a few other council members, and this seemed to be a good makeup of the committee.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. I really appreciate it, but all is well at the committee.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to like, I didn't know about any conversations. I was just curious, and I figured it was just a good time since it was on the topic.
No, I appreciate that. No, but I had a few conversations with specifically Councilmember Spitzley and others that were under consideration for the committee. And also when I put out a call for interested parties, there were some that came back and some that didn't. So tried to balance the interests of folks that I dragooned into it and those that that volunteered service as well. So appreciate that question though, Councilmember Jackson. All right, seeing no other comments from council members, we are going to adjourn for now and we'll see you back at 7 o'clock. Thank you all.
Wow.
Enjoy your dinners.